Welcome back to the podcast. Holy shit. That didn't scare me this time.
Why'd you say holy shit then if it didn't even scare you? Whatever. Not even pissed about it.
Yeah, what the hell?
Not even like, I'm sorry, you're not scared of it?
I think
What the fuck
because
is the
I'm
point
like
of it
in my
playing
bed.
then?
I think because I'm in my bed, wrapped up like a little burrito.
Yeah, you guys, you know what? Can you imagine? I'm like putting on a show over here. And she's just in her bed.
Wrapped up like a little burrito.
What are you wearing?
What are you wearing?
Without me?
Yeah.
I'll play a video where this is coming from because this is the best thing I have ever seen in my entire life.
What are you doing? Yes, but what would you be doing if I was there?
I was just gonna say, I noticed a thing. That thing being the fact that I think that the Aritzia stopped hiring models that are any like bigger than size 2.
Probably.
They had a period of time when they started to have people who are like size 6, sometimes like size 10.
A sensible size 6.
And right now it looks like all of their models went on Ozempic.
I mean, probably.
Cancel them.
What are you wearing? Aritzia.
Aritzia.
What?
Without me,
Without me?
what would you do if I was there? If I was there. Today we've got so much to cover, you guys. It's fucking crazy. I've read so much for this.
And I read nothing.
Oh, by the way, I'm toothless. You can't see it because I'm wearing Invisalign with a tooth in it. Not my tooth, like a fake. Well, not someone else's either. Damn. Okay.
A 3D printed tooth.
A 3D printed tooth, because mine, like I told you that mine broke before, but like the crack was fundamental, bitch. The crack was absolutely unfixable. So yeah, I was just sitting there, I opened my mouth and my tooth was out.
She just opened her mouth and her tooth decided she could no longer hang on.
Yeah, my tooth was like, that's enough. That's quite enough of you.
What? What did I do?
Not you. I'm telling you that my tooth said that to me. I seriously think I'm thinking I'm talking to her about that. That's
shit.
enough of you talking about my tooth. But yeah, anyway, I had to walk around without a tooth for like 2 days. And when I tell you it's horrific, because it's a front tooth, for those of you who don't remember. Anyway.
It's not so bad. It's giving aye matey.
Okay, you guys, apparently it's not that bad when you're giving aye matey.
The pirate's life for me.
If I had the emotional catharsis of looting, I think I'll be okay with being toothless. But since I don't, and I have to be a law-abiding citizen while missing a tooth, I'm a little bit, I'm pissy about it.
Dude, you probably could get a gold tooth by now if you were a pirate. So
Straight up.
Where do pirates get their gold teeth, guys? The dentist? So do they go to the dentist every once in a while? Or
No.
they just
Did they even have like proper dentists back then? They probably just had like a local person who can rip it out and give you some opium.
Oh.
Right? I doubt that it was like a proper operation going on there. They probably had like a local aye matey.
Oh.
The matey that's actually the ow matey, you know?
Yeah. Womp 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 womp.
Today's topic is futurists, okay? And I have mentioned this multiple times before for different reasons, like the whole movement. Mostly because I was having like a really weird experience in university, as in not being taught about futurists properly, in a sense of actually being like disclosed of what this ideology was all about and where it led and how truly violent they were. And I also wasn't taught that there's a really big difference between futurists that were in Europe and especially in Italy, and futurists that were in Russia at the time. And the reason why they're so like separate, mostly because the futurists, their aesthetic is very undefined, and oftentimes it is lumped together with cubists. I'm gonna show you like some images of, like, for example, this work by Natalia Goncharova. It looks very much like early cubism, doesn't it? It looks like the figure descending the stairs by Duchamp.
I'm tired of Duchamp. Tired of mentioning his fucking ass.
He's everywhere.
Don't worry, guys, if you don't know anything about futurism. I only learned the bare minimum in school, so Lisa's gonna explain it to me also, so you're not alone.
Yeah.
Also, Lisa, explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay. First and foremost, one of the things about futurism, or not even one of the things, but the main thing that you're going to be told everywhere, okay? This is the information that you're going to get everywhere, is this is a movement that started in Italy by this guy whose last name is Marinetti. I don't know how to pronounce it in English without like rolling the R's and whatever, because I tried multiple fucking times. Italian names are impossible not to fucking roll. It's crazy.
That's going to be the only thing I say all day, is just repeating what you're saying with the rolled R's.
Marinetti. Like, it's so strange how little context we have about people, about artists, about all of these guys, because what he said in the beginning about futurism, right? And then where it progressed, and then where he ended up in terms of his like philosophy and whatever, seems like a big difference, because it becomes very much right-wing nonsense, like to the extreme. But in reality, when you look at his shit and you actually look at what he said in the manifesto, and instead of trying to be like, no, he just meant that he likes speed and he just likes the machinery and the excitement of the future or whatever the fuck, when you actually look at what this motherfucker said, you start to see where that fascist nonsense was already there. You know what I mean? Like, and it's really weird and really interesting to see how both, like, all futurists, even the Russian ones, in the very beginning, the whole shtick was that they were really actively against the past. And even here, there was some deviation. I'm going to explain it to you right now. But basically, the main point that the Italian futurists were obsessed with is getting rid of the past and the present, especially because they believe that Italians are stuck in the past in terms of accomplishments, like being like obsessed with their, you know, Roman times and other shit like that. So they kind of were really obsessed with leaving that behind and moving on and finally starting something new. And especially was kind of ushered by the metropolitan kind of bustling and hustling and the sounds that are created by the new machinery and the introduction of all of this like massive factories and stuff like that. So they were kind of really inspired by that specifically. And obviously at the same time, there was Cubism that was being developed. And a lot of it is about time and space. Actually, I think that the best way for us to go about this is read the Futurist Manifesto together and not the entire thing, because I'm going to tell you what, that stupid ass thing, written by Marinetti, by the way, it was written in 2 parts, kind of. First part is like an Imagine situation. Like, he wrote a fucking 2012 Tumblr Imagine, being like you were standing there and this is going, like, he's just literally writing an Imagine scenario, okay? The second part is a bunch of statements, like literally numbered statements that are declarations in a manifesto, basically. So it's really easy to read specifically the declaration part. And that's what we're gonna do, because, bitch, we need a jumping off point. Should I screen share with you or not?
Just read it to me like I'm 5. Read it to me like I'm 3.
Dude, read it to me like I'm in the womb. Womb? Wow.
Womb?
Anyway, get ready.
Okay,
Manifesto of Futurism. Number 1, we want to sing the love of danger, the habit of energy and rashness. Number 2, the essential elements of our poetry will be courage, audacity, and revolt. That already sounds like some men bullshit.
Dude, I'm gonna start saying that. Yeah, I have courage, I have audacity, and what was the last one?
A revolt.
Courage, audacity, revolt.
3, literature has up to now magnified pensive immobility ecstasy, and slumber. We want to exalt movements of aggression, feverish sleeplessness, the double march, the perilous leap, the slap,
Dude,
and the blow with the fist.
another person who missed their Wattpad era, hey?
Dude, I straight up, I'm telling you, like the first part of the whole thing is like him genuinely writing an Imagine. It starts with like, we have been up all night, my friends and I, beneath mosque lamps. Those brass cupolas are bright as our souls. Like, girl, calm down. Like, not even calm down, but like, you're so annoying. Like, none of this is original. You're just like have a niche in your butt or something. Like, I don't think that's a saying in
That's
English.
not a saying in English.
Okay, so it's not a saying in English, but it's a saying in Russian. So take it as it is, okay? Anyway, number 4, we declare that the splendor of the world has been enriched by a new beauty, the beauty of speed. A racing automobile with its bonnet adorned with great tubes like serpents, with explosive breath. A roaring motor car which seems to run on machine gun fire.
Dude,
Is more beautiful than the victory of Samoth race. What the fuck is Samoth race?
I don't know, but why is this just damn losers be existing in every century, hey? This
Like
is just
straight
like
up.
this is just like prehistoric Elon Musk.
Samothrace is a Greek island in the northern Aegean Sea. Is that how you pronounce it? Municipality within the Evros region unit of Thrace. Whatever. Whatever, bitch. I don't know why he brought them up. Anyway, number 5. We want to sing the man at the wheel, the ideal axis of which crosses the earth itself hurled along its orbit.
I'm sorry, this shit is actually so funny. Like,
It's so
not
yeah.
you fucking glazing a car. Like, this person sounds like they're obsessed with Hot Wheels. Like,
Do you think he was the first like automobile lover?
Yeah, he sounds like
Do you think he was the first autophile or autophile,
I
whatever the
don't
fuck they're called? Was he the
He's like
first one who
he's
like
like one of those people who are like in My Strange Addictions. Hi, my name is
exactly
what's his
the
name?
learning channel, right? I was like, is it one of the like was he the first one?
My name is Nathaniel. I'm 27 years old, and I'm in a serious relationship with my car.
Morning, baby. My handsome man.
Nathaniel is in a committed relationship with a car.
He paved the way for freaks everywhere.
Yeah, what's his name?
Marinetti.
Hi, I'm Marinetti, and this is my car Sheila, and we're married. Like, a lot of people think it's weird that I'm married to Sheila, but it's not weird at all. It's just like having a normal wife. Like, some weird
She
shit like that.
embraces me. She loves me. She takes me in.
Yeah, she
Ew.
even lets me in.
That's it. We're moving on. The poet must spend himself with warmth. Okay.
Weird.
Glamour and prodigality to increase the enthusiastic fervor of the primordial elements. Ugh. Anyway,
Okay.
beauty exists. Number 7. Beauty exists only in struggle, which is something that we talked about struggle and we already dogged on it.
Damn,
In
we
another
must
episode
be,
where we were like, I
must-
don't know what I am outside of it and I don't like that. And he's like, struggle is so beautiful. It's because you're a little bitch who's so fucking privileged
Dude,
that
we
you
must be
can write this
goddesses then.
nonsense day in and day out. Anyway.
We must be like Helen of Troy type beauty if struggle is beautiful.
Literally. Actually, you're so right. There is no masterpiece that has not an aggressive character. Poetry must be a violent assault on the forces of the unknown to force them to bow before man. Okay, leave poetry alone. I think that's enough of you. Number 8, we are on the extreme promontory of the centuries. What is the use of looking behind at the moment where we must open the mysterious shutters of the impossible? Time and space died yesterday. We are already living in the absolute since we have already created eternal, omnipresent speed. Number 9, we want to glorify war, the only cure for the world. Militarism, patriotism, the destructive gesture of the anarchists, the beautiful ideas which kill, and contempt for woman.
You want to start war because he's the only little who walks on all fours
Girl,
because he's
that point,
rotten to the core.
the fact that he wrote into an aesthetics manifesto, an art aesthetics manifesto, he wrote about contempt for women is insane.
Yeah, it's like, huh?
Being such a dick rider of war is insane. Like, it's genuinely bananas, okay? I'm horrified by that, to be fucking honest.
I like how they just didn't tell us this in school. Like, they just completely
They were just like,
missed this
yeah,
whole
it's
part.
like, yeah, they just like speed. They just like the sound of machines, noise, the hustle and bustle of the big cities, the propelling towards the future all the time, the technology, obsession with technology. Oh, you weren't gonna mention the contempt for women? You
Yeah.
weren't gonna mention militarism as the only fucking, what did he say? The only
Solution.
cure for the world.
Yeah.
Cure.
It's like, why are you describing
That sounds like a full-blown, already realized Nazi. 10. We want to demolish museums and libraries. Fight morality, feminism, and all opportunist and utilitarian cowardice.
What the fuck? What did libraries do to you? What?
Dude, that's the thing. And listen, so in like 1914 he went to Russia because he heard that people are calling like this Russian painter groups or this Russian artist groups, because a lot of them were poets actually, not painters. He heard that they were called Futurists, and he was like, I gotta go and like assert my position and be like, I'm the creator, whatever, because he already was considered to be the creator of Futurism in Europe, right? But the Russians did not give a flying fuck. They just left Moscow when he came there. Like, the actual Futurists, they were like, we're not even gonna be in the city. Like, you can give your lecture, we're not gonna be there though.
Period.
And the one thing that he said, he was like passing by people and he saw like women with guys or whatever, and he was like, wow, the process of emancipation is a lot further here, by which he means that the women that he saw, at least, right, were like open with those men, I guess. I don't know, like more promiscuous or something like that. And it's like, oh, so you care for emancipation in a sense of you exploiting women, that's what you care about.
Yeah.
It's not actually, because you literally wrote in your manifesto that you want to fight feminism, but emancipation, when it comes to being able to fuck whomever you want without having to actually take care of them in a system where you don't even allow them to provide for themselves in any other way, apparently that's okay. That's desirable, apparently.
Yuck.
Fuck him. Fuck him.
Fuck
Anyway.
for real.
Number 11, we will sing of the great crowds agitated by work, pleasure, and revolt, the multicolored and polyphonic surf of revolutions in modern capitals, the nocturnal vibration of the arsenals and the workshops beneath their violent electric moons, the gluttonous railway stations devouring smoking serpents, factories suspended from the clouds by the thread of their smoke, bridges with the leap of gymnasts flung across the diabolic cutlery of sunny rivers, adventurous streamers sniffing the horizon,
Okay,
great-breasted locomotives puffing on the rails like enormous still horses with long tubes for bridle, and the gliding flight of aeroplanes whose propeller sounds like the flapping of a flag and the applause of enthusiastic crowds.
This man is a terrible fucking poet / writer.
Straight up.
Huh?
It is in Italy that we are issuing this manifesto of ruinous and incendiary violence, by which we today are founding Futurism because we want to deliver Italy from its gangrene of professors, archaeologists, tourist guides, antiquaries.
That's it?
Yeah, like that's it for the points, right? But then it goes on, and I can tell, like, for example, this part, museums are basically, he's like, museums are cemeteries, like, you know, like it's like dead ideas or dead things, blah blah blah. And then he goes, for the dying, for invalids, and for prisoners, it may be all right. It is perhaps some sort of balm for the wounds, the admirable past, at a moment where the future is denied them. but we will have none of it. We, the young, strong, and living futurists. Replace futurist with fascist, and it's literally the same as fucking fascist manifesto.
Yeah. What the hell?
Jumping on the throats of the dying and the invalids. That's the first people fascists jump. The first sign of a society that's in decay, that's falling to this cruel idiocy, is when they come for the disabled.
That's how you know, dude.
That's how you know it's coming, because they're the first ones who they're trying to attack. Always,
The
you will
library
always
was
be
one
able to
thing.
tell if the society that you're a part of is sick and is in decay, and you need to revitalize it and you need to heal it. Is when they are trying to attack your fellow people who happen to be disabled. I already thought this was like not great, right? Then after this, I started reading about the Russian futurists, and I was like, okay, so how the fuck did this happen, right? Because fascism was born in Italy, and it then traveled to Germany. However, I do believe that these attitudes are the ones that kind of were the breeding ground for what was to spring out of futurism later on. Like, I don't think that futurism is a separate thing from what happened afterwards, from Mussolini and from Hitler, okay? I think that they were all kind of moving in the same fucking direction, and it was very obvious. Now, this is something that I did not realize until I read Walter Benjamin's essay in its entirety. The essay in question, I'm telling you, like, I have like so many fucking things to tell you. And this is the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. This is a very fundamental art history text. If you're going to take art history, there's like a 95% chance you're gonna have to read it, or at least an excerpt from it, in your art history 100 class.
Yeah, I still have the book right
It's
now.
like very, very, like, this is fundamental to art, and especially to contemporary art. There's no way to study the transition from modern art to contemporary art without talking about Walter Benjamin in this essay. Like, there's just no way. And the whole point of this, the context for you, is the fact that Walter Benjamin was a Jewish man in Germany, and he wrote this piece in, I believe, 1933 or something like that. 1935. So 1935 is when he wrote this. This essay is going to be taught to you in any fucking classroom, except for those like professors who actually do their due diligence and learn properly about what they're going to be teaching you. They're going to teach you that this essay is about reproduction of art in a sense of just ability to copy and paste. So, like, talking about how the posters could be reproduced, talking about art that could be reproduced, like, for example, photographs, right? Photographs have changed the game. So usually, after they tell you that the painting has died and the photograph was born, they tell you about Walter Benjamin being like, yeah, let's talk about reproducibility of art, and does it diminish the value of it? Which is ridiculous, because this essay is not about the diminishing of value of the artwork from the original to not original. He's not talking about bourgeois bullshit over like how much it's gonna cost. No, he doesn't give a fuck if the art is gonna be more or less expensive, okay? The fact that it was taught to us this way is diabolical, okay?
Yeah, that's what I remember too.
It's absolutely, like, that's genuinely word for word was told, at least to me in class, that it was this essay that didn't say that the work diminishes in value. It just was just musings on this topic, about how much value is there really. And then we had this whole discussion in class about like whether the original is actually more important or not. Oh my god. She's pulling her eyes on me. Girl, focus.
I am focused. I'm listening. I'm just raising my eyelids.
The part that we got to read was genuinely just about like the reproduction of text, the reproduction of film, yada yada. That was the part that we read, right? And then I was making a video on the Red Shoes, this ballet, right? The video that I made, and it's on my main channel, I named it the work of art in the age of mechanical detachment. Basically, in there, I talk about the Red Shoes, this ballet from 1945 or something like that, and how me liking those visuals kind of turned into an analysis of Walter Benjamin's The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction. And what I realized while I was reading it, first of all, it was misrepresented in class. Second of all, it was misrepresented every time we discussed anything and people brought it up. It was always represented in a way where we were talking about the reproducibility of art, as in like just copying it.
Yeah.
And its bourgeois value.
Mm-hmm.
And then I reached the end of the essay, right? Basically what Walter Benjamin was saying is that if art is purely aesthetic, right? If it has no reflection of society in it, if you're not, as an artist, if you're not doing something to actually create some kind of commentary, maybe just a reflection of society, not specifically commenting and having moral judgments about it, but at least trying to truly reflect what is going on, you are basically not being an artist. You're creating an aesthetic that you can either sell, or an aesthetic that could be co-opted and used for propaganda purposes.
Right.
Especially this is a very common thing for the fascist kind of movement to do, because they don't really have anything good to stand for. So to unite people together, they have to project power and project it aesthetically specifically, because even if you don't have it in that current moment, like for example Germany was in shambles in the 30s, you can at least project that power by aesthetic qualities that would make people feel like you are in power, and that would make them feel like they're a part of something, even if you don't have an ideology that people can get behind.
Yeah, the power of organized aesthetics is real.
Yeah. When I was reading the end of this essay, I was shocked, okay? Absolutely shocked to read the epilogue, because at that point, I thought Futurism was about speed, about the machinery, about people being like, oh my God, industrialization. That was my impression of it, okay? I'm going to read the epilogue too because it's short, but it does a lot here. So the epilogue from The Age of Mechanical Reproduction. The growing proletarian...
Proletarian?
No, the growing proletarianization of modern man and the increasing formation of masses are two aspects of the same process. Fascism attempts to organize the newly created proletarian masses without affecting the property structure, which the masses strive to eliminate. Because fascism wanted to have that veneer of something revolutionary, while at the same time actually removing more and more of the rights, right? Fascism sees its salvation in giving these masses not their right, but instead a chance to express themselves. It's kind of like, you know, how people are always complaining about China not being, like, Chinese people not being able to express themselves, something like that, but they have all the rights that Americans don't. It's kind of that shtick.
Oh God. Okay.
Because you have the right to express yourself. You have the right to present an aesthetic in terms of your expression. But they're trying to get people to feel like they're expressing themselves, so they don't actually dismantle the structure where the powerful 1% owns everything, and them included.
Yeah.
It's literally the same thing that I talked about when I was talking about Jojo Siwa.
Yeah, it's literally the same thing that's going on now.
Yeah, because to me, I was like, that's just a projection. This aesthetic of rioting, this aesthetic of revolutionary action. Just because you need to basically, people feel like they're participating in it because they're consuming their music. For example, like with Kiss, right? Like all of those 40, 50-year-old men who are obsessed with them, and it's like, you're not doing anything revolutionary, Brian. You need to get yourself together, like. Or Dave, actually. Why Brian? Brian is more like 30. Anyway, let me finish reading this. Anyway, the masses have a right to change property relations. Fascism seeks to give them an expression while preserving property. The logical result of fascism is the introduction of aesthetics into political life. The violation of the masses, whom fascism, with its Führer cult, forces to their knees, has its counterpart in the violation of an apparatus which is pressed into the production of ritual values. Basically, this reproduction of aesthetics, like this constant stamping out of the same aesthetics that you can participate in without actually having any revolutionary action or even noticing that you're being exploited because you feel like you're participating in a revolution that's already happening in the hands of the Führer. Okay.
This is truly the definition of no thoughts, just vibes.
And that's literally what's going on in America right now.
Yeah.
And not just
Seriously.
in America, it's going on in all the big countries, I guess, except for maybe, I don't think China is in on it. Russia definitely in on it. We have become America 2.0 and it's sad, but it is what it is. All efforts to render politics aesthetic culminate in one thing: war. War and war only can set a goal for mass movements on the largest scale while respecting the traditional property system. Dude, it's true.
Holy shit, there's no way this is real.
We can even see that with this situation between Canada and America, the way that Canadians are really pissed at Americans right now. Not Americans, America in general.
Yeah.
And you can see how quickly we all banded together. You can ask anyone on the street right now what they think, and they will probably say something like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck was that, and like, fuck him, you know? However, it's not like we have ideological or any ideals that we have actually agreed upon.
Right.
All the ideals are very vague, like, oh, freedom, democracy, yada yada. Well, in reality, they're trying to, for example, remove our rights to nationwide because conservatives are right wingers, you know?
Yeah.
But having this conflict with somebody else that's under a specific flag, an aesthetic, will band people together immediately. This is the political formula for the situation. The technological formula may be stated as follows. Only war makes it possible to mobilize all of today's technical resources while maintaining the property system. It goes without saying that the fascist apotheosis of war does not employ such arguments. Still, Marinetti, and this is where I remember the name, and I was like, wait. Actually, I need to go back and read this Benjamin's essay again, the end, right? Because there was something that was really disturbing to me there.
Yeah.
Still, Marinetti says in his manifesto on the Ethiopian colonial war. First of all, why are you writing a manifesto on the Ethiopian colonial war?
Oh, God.
Over Italy with them. First of all, why are you there? Why are you there? Second of all, why aren't you pissed that you're there? Anyway, so he wrote, for 27 years, the Futurists have rebelled against the branding of war as anti-aesthetic. Accordingly, we state,
idiot,
get ready,
honestly.
get ready. Accordingly, we state, war is beautiful because it establishes man's dominion over the subjugated machinery by means of gas masks, terrifying megaphones, flamethrowers, and small tanks. Get ready, because it gets so much worse. War is beautiful because it initiates the dreamt of metallization of the human body. War is beautiful because it enriches a flowering meadow with the fiery orchids of machine guns. War is beautiful because it combines the gunfire, the cannonades, the ceasefire, the scents, and the stench of putrefaction into a symphony.
What the fuck is this?
By the way, putrefaction is like rotting of flesh.
Rotting
just in
flesh,
case you
yeah.
guys don't know, yeah.
Dude, this person is demonic.
That's
This is actually...
so disgusting. The first time I read it, I was so disturbed. And I didn't know about what the Futurist dealt. That's why, dude, that's why I was so disturbed while I was reading this. I was like, oh, so the Futurists are like fucked.
This is like some sick, like disgusting, psychotic shit.
Yeah, and I was like, that can't be right. That can't be correct. That's fucking insane. So then, okay, war is beautiful because it creates a new architecture, like that of the big tanks, the geometrical formation flights, the smoke spirals from burning villages, and many others. Poets and artists of Futurism remember these principles of an aesthetics of war so that your struggle for a new literature and new graphic art may be illuminated by them. So then Benjamin goes, this manifesto has the virtue of clarity, which is like him being like, at least he was straight up, but
yeah.
It's still gross. Its formulations deserve to be accepted by dialecticians. To the latter, the aesthetics of today's war appears as follows. If the natural utilization of productive forces is impeded by the property system, the increase in technical devices, in speed, and in the sources of energy will pass for an unnatural utilization, and this is found in war. Which is basically what he's saying here, is that if this new forces of quicker production, right, of all of these advancements in technology and all of these advancements in terms of how quickly we can do something, or biology, right, like for example, how can we heal and whatever, if those things are impeded in terms of their growth from growing to help to growing for capital, if they are being twisted and
Contorted?
morphed, contorted into something that's supposed to produce monetary value and is fixed in that state, right, where you're supposed to be some kind of property, some kind of thing that can be owned and produces value. If it's contorted that way, then it's going to eventually lead to unnatural utilization of progress, which is war, which is creating bio warfare, which is creating chemical warfare, which is creating more and more weapons and other things like that. If you are not allowing the forces of this, looking to the future to accommodate the natural order of things, which is production to make life better and to make life easier, if you're not allowing it to be more human and instead it becomes demonic because you're obsessed with production for gain, it will lead to war, because there's no other way to make money with it, because there's a limit to how much you can produce. And there's a limit to how much people need, and there's a limit to how much people are willing to do. If you are putting them in a situation where they have to either buy weapons from you or they're dead, they're going to buy weapons from you. And they will put us in this position time and time again because they want to produce more and to collect more and extract more.
Yeah. It's crazy.
The destructiveness of war furnishes proof that society has not been mature enough to incorporate technology as its organ. The technology has not been sufficiently developed to cope with the elemental forces of society. The horrible features of imperialistic warfare are attributable to the discrepancy between the tremendous means of production and their inadequate utilization in the process of production. In other words, to unemployment and the lack of markets. Imperialistic war is a rebellion of technology which collects in the form of human material the claims to which society has denied its natural material. Instead of draining rivers, society directs a human stream into a bed of trenches. Instead of dropping seeds from airplanes, it drops incendiary bombs over cities. And through gas warfare, the aura is abolished in a new way.
Minus 10,000 aura, bro.
Dude, no, straight up. Fiat ars periet mundus. I don't fucking know what that is. I guess it's Latin. Says fascism, and as well, we can actually translate it. If one second, you guys, I'll do my due diligence.
Dude, I can't even believe that is actually ink on paper.
The fact that he wrote that in 1935 and we're still here is insane.
It's actually fucking cooked.
This is a Latin phrase meaning "let justice be done and the world perish." It was a motto of the Roman emperor. So
this is literally some fake edgy shit.
I know. It's like some 12-year-old edgelords got to fucking define culture.
My mom. I wanna kill my dad. I wanna kill my grandma. It's giving that.
It's literally giving that, you guys. I'm not even fucking kidding.
This is like 90% of fucking people.
Yeah.
All vibes, no substance.
So Fiat ars periet mundus, whatever the fuck, says fascism. And as Marinetti admits, as Marinetti admits, expects war to supply the artistic gratification of a sense perception that has been changed by technology. This is evidently the consummation of l'art pour lacht.
Huh?
Mankind, which in Homer's time was an object of contemplation for the Olympian gods, now is one for itself. Its self-alienation has reached such a degree that it can experience its own destruction as an aesthetic pleasure of the first order. This is a situation of politics which fascism is rendering aesthetic. Communism responds by politicizing art. This is where futurism led in, at least in Soviet Russia, it changed to all of those artists. Some of them, the ones who didn't agree, there was like a couple who were specifically like Cuba futurists kind of, they moved to the West and they were like, whatever, we're not gonna stay here for the revolution, because the revolution lasted a long time. There was a civil war and stuff like that, and a lot of people didn't want to deal with that, especially those that were very privileged and could live in luxury somewhere else.
Yeah.
And then a lot of other futurists became other things. For example, Malevich was a futurist, and then he became a suprematist. A lot of others, like for example Popova, she went into the direction of making patterns for clothes that would be nationally produced and other things like that. She became one of those people who would want to, basically they were like, fuck with the bourgeois, we want to make things for regular people. That was kind of the thing, right?
Shtick. Yeah.
So okay, so Russian futurism in comparison, just to make a distinction, because apparently I didn't know that either, because I didn't know that there was even futurism in Russia back then. Then after university I learned about that, and now I know more about it. And the point being that they developed at the same time. They thought, like, at the beginning it was all like, oh, we're about the moving forward and removing, the constraints of the past and whatever, right? However, the Russian futurists were oftentimes referring to primitivism and referring to a lot of those types of arts in their work. For example, Goncharova was definitely doing that. And it's really interesting that they were doing it, because they were going back to, not to Gauguin's view of primitivism, because they weren't drawing in an orientalist way. They weren't going somewhere and drawing other people. They were going and drawing regular working people, regular Russians.
Right.
And they also were making, for example, Goncharova made a work called The Cyclist, and the words around him are names of different types of textiles. So she was already not talking about war and wasn't interested in war. And it's really interesting how they were both coming from the same place, technically, like this new hustle and bustle of the world and the industrialization. I was kind of shocked. I was like, well, Mayakovsky was saying like there was a lot of growing nationalism around 1913, because it was right before the war with Germany, the First World War, right? The First World War started in 1914. So, and I believe Russia exited the war in 1917, because the conflict of the war was technically them trying to split the land that's being split again today in Middle East.
Right.
And they kind of had like this. It was a very much like imperialistic type of approach to what they wanted to do with it. So a bunch of European countries were kind of fighting each other to get whatever they wanted, right?
Dude, history
And
just repeats itself constantly.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so fun.
And Russia exited because Lenin was against imperialism, obviously, because he was a communist. Like, how could he be a communist and an imperialist? That's literally crazy. So he was like, nah, we're leaving the war. The way that it was taught here in social studies is that Russia was too busy with the revolution, which is true, but also it was also the result of who won in the revolution. If the monarchs won in the revolution, we would have stayed in the war for sure.
Right.
Now, more on the Russian futurism. So Russian futurism, unlike Italian, was more of a literary trend, although many of the futurist poets also experimented with fine arts. In terms of ideology, there was also differences between Italian and Russian futurism. Italian futurism praised militarism, and its leader Marinetti was reproached for chauvinism and misogyny. Later, Marinetti became a supporter of Italian fascism. At the same time, representatives of Russian futurism were characterized by leftist and anti-bourgeois beliefs. A number of them welcomed the October Revolution. Vladimir Mayakovsky, Velimir Khlebnikov, Vasily Kamensky, Osip Brik, Nikolai Aseev, Vasily Kandinsky, and sought to develop art in a revolutionary spirit. There are a lot of anti-war works in Russian futurism as opposed to Marinetti's militarism. The poem War and Peace by Mayakovsky War in the Mousetrap by Hliebnikov, which
I
is
read that book.
yeah, which is, you know what, very interesting that in the beginning I saw that Mayakovsky was writing about war and kind of was not excited, but he thought it was a good thing to go to war with Germany in 1914. And then a year later, he wrote in his journal being like, nah, I took it back. And he was like, it's really interesting to see because definitely they were taking inspiration from the early futurism, and then their paths diverted so drastically that they started to call each other enemies. Well, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how it's just really strange because I feel like when I started reading about futurists in Russia, it was really hard for me to put together something really cohesive for you guys because they wrote fucking tons of manifestos, okay? Because unlike the Italian futurism, they didn't have a leader. There was no one leader. It was a bunch of people who were more prominent, less prominent, and a lot of them were writing their own manifestos for specific happenings and stuff like that, you know? And because of that, there's also this compilation of manifestos that I found that was specifically compilation of Russian futurism through its manifestos from 1912 to 1928. And I started reading the intro where it was like the history of futurism in Europe and then the history of futurism in Russia. And I was waiting the entire time. I was like, explain to me how, like, were the futurists in the beginning aligned politically and socially, right? Because I believe that political views are social views. You can't separate the two. And so I'm reading this. I'm reading it. I'm getting through all of this like descriptions of different types of influence that futurism had all over the Europe, whatever. And I'm just not getting anything about fucking politics and about the social norms and the fact that fucking Marinetti was writing about Ethiopian war being like, yay, rotting flesh. Okay?
We like
Nothing.
putrid sense.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I get to the Russian futurist part. I'm reading it. I'm trying to find some info that would tell me when did they divert? Did they have the same views and then diverted? How did this happen?
Like, how are they called the same thing? They must have at some point been on the same
and it's like
page,
literally this new trend was in some measure a consequence of the latest developments in science and technology. After Einstein's theory of relativity was recognized as legitimate principles of scientific research, it was no longer possible to see the world as regulated by strictly logical axioms. The traditional Newtonian architecture of the universe collapsed, spatial and temporal dimensions overlapped, and logic cognitive processes ceased to be functional. Basically, she's like, yeah, cubists and futurists existed because they were like trying to rethink the laws of dimensions kind of in terms of like being on the canvas, right? The only way that she kind of mentioned that they were into this chaos of destruction and whatever is this sentence. The futurists, however, perceived chaos as not in negative terms, as disruption of order, but as a natural condition. They glorified the machine and the super qualities that man could get from it.
Not this shit again.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, so they're rejecting literally canons, trying to find it, right? I'm going through the entire thing, and then she starts talking about futurism in Russia, and like, while futurism in Russia was compact phenomenon under the leadership of one man, in Russia it was heterogeneous, with many groups constantly engaging in literary warfare. Then she was like, oh yeah, they began to disintegrate in 1914. I was just like, wait, is that it? What the hell? Then they were like, yeah, like, so Marinetti showed up and he was like, no, this is actually my idea. They were like, no, we don't have the same ideas about it, yada yada. But again, why are they not agreeing? She keeps on posing it as if it was a disagreement of ego, as like, I own it or I own it. And it's like, clearly not, because they were writing letters to each other during that time being like, damn, we want to change from futurists because we don't want to be associated with fascist bullshit. But that was the Russian side, right? And they were like, we don't want to be in the same boat as Marinetti. But then they were already considered futurists, or Cuba futurists specifically. So they were like, technically speaking, like whatever we say, they were already talking about us this way in media, in journals and stuff like that. This weird shit, I was like, what's going on? Why isn't she talking about what happened? She just mentions like, oh, Russian futurists were more archaic. They went the primitivism route sometimes. And it's like, I really don't think it was aesthetic differences. I don't think it was aesthetic differences, girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I look up her name, Lawton Anna. Get ready for it, because fucking hell.
Literary warfare. It's not fair. Why can't we share?
Lighting it up in between fucking in my interludes. I look her up, I'm like, can't find much except for like a bunch of books on Soviet Russia and later on Russia as well. And I'm like, okay, not a Russian name, but so many Russian like books about Russia. I'm already suspicious because I don't know. They're really weird sometimes. So I go to her website and then
I'm scared.
she's like the start of her bio is like this imaginary dialogue between her and someone else where it's like, where are you from? People want to know. I'm from here. I live in Washington, D.C. No, I mean originally, where are you from? They insist. I'm from Italy. Oh, Italy, that is a wonderful place. They are really appreciative of my native country. They tell me about how much fun they had on their recent trip. Why did you move to the US? I married an American. I was still a student in those days. And then what happened? And then she writes her bio, right? What happened? I earned my PhD in Russian literature at UCLA. As a professor, I taught courses in literature, cinema, and visual culture in Purdue University and subsequently Georgetown University until I retired in 2013. At some point in my career, I took a leave and went to Moscow, where I worked for USIA at the American Embassy as the Deputy Director of Public Information and Media Outreach and the editor-in-chief, sorry.
The idiot-in-chief.
of the magazine Connections.
Oh.
I was like, USIA? What the fuck is that? I look up USIA. It's the United States Information Agency that was devoted to propaganda, which operated from 1953 to 1999. So former USIA Director of TV and Film Service, Alvin Snyder, recalled in 1995 memoir that the US government ran a full-service public relations organization, the largest in the world, about the size of 20 biggest US companies, commercial PR firms combined. Its full-time professional staff of more than 10,000 people, spread out amongst 150 countries, burnished America's image and trashed the Soviet Union 2,500 hours a week with a Tower of Babel comprised of more than 70 languages to the tune of over $2 billion per year. The USIA was the biggest branch of this propaganda machine.
Holy fuck. Oh.
So then I see that the stuff that they produced to be distributed across the world, like about America, was not allowed to be shown in America. So Americans wouldn't know what's being told about them to the world.
Interesting. That's
and
interesting.
The guy in Congress,
USA.
listen, this is why learning is so fucking depressing, because how did I end up finding all this bullshit? A bunch of like posters from the Vietnam War where they were trashing the North and showing how good the South is and stuff like that. It's crazy.
What the fuck is going on?
So there was the Smith-Mundt Act, which basically prohibited propaganda materials to be shown in America, which is really like, it's kind of confusing to understand what the fuck is going on here, because like congressional concerns and whatever, when you read about it, it's like this guy whose name is Eugene Cox. He was the chairman of, I know, informed Assistant Secretary of State, Public, whatever. In any case, he was like, this is what's so funny, because it mirrors what's going on right now, where this law was created to not show Americans what they're showing about America outside to combat communism, right? They don't want to show it to the people. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you if you're agreeing on the capitalist stuff, right? Like, what's the problem? Why not though, right? And then in the Congress, he was like, we don't want the Americans to see this propaganda about America because we are afraid because the government is infiltrated by communists and pro-Russian policy. The government saying that, but the government is crazy when they're producing capitalist propaganda at the same time. It's like, what are you talking about?
What the fuck are you talking about?
You are either one or the other. How are you playing for 3 fucking teams at the same fucking time? What's going on? And then this motherfucker, says that the Foreign Affairs Committee is a worthless committee consisting of worthless, impotent congressmen. It was kind of a ghetto of the House of Representatives. Then he says that the State Department is chock full of Reds and the lousiest outfit in town. While they're producing capitalist propaganda, apparently they're Reds, which is like them saying that they're communists. How does that make sense? I don't know.
Those are like fundamentally against each other. You can't
They're
be.
literally, yeah. And then I look at him, I'm like, wait, Eugene Cox, who is he? And you look at him.
He's a cocksucker. That's what he is.
Dude, he is because he is used to be a U.S. representative from Georgia for nearly 28 years, a conservative Democrat who... That's literally crazy. A conservative Democrat. Who supported racial segregation and opposed Roosevelt's New Deal.
Holy shit. So... Oh...
Why are they always slave owners? I swear to God.
That's
Every
so
time you
dark.
look into it, you're like, oh my God, ew.
That's so dark.
Why didn't anyone kill you? Damn.
I know.
Why do we have to rub shoulders with you bitches? God damn. Anyway.
What's his name again?
Eugene Cox.
Eugene Cox. More like shoot him. No. More like...
You didn't even try, bitch. I swear to God.
Eugene Cox makes me want to cock my gun.
Dude, basically, here you go. This is this history of futurism, where it started, where they were like, oh my God, speed, cars, they go fast. Cars go fast.
Tanks.
Cars go vroom, vroom, vroom.
What would you do if I was in the car?
Yeah.
I would.
Oh,
vroom.
you're driving a car without me? Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, looking into all of this shit, you're just sitting there like, how on earth? How on earth
were they called the same
and also
thing?
how difficult it is to find truthful information, where a lot of the research that you find that seems to be really dry type of academic research, like for example futurism in Russia through manifestos of those futurists. How do you even twist and turn it? But then you look at it and they just don't want to talk about the social and economic state of the world.
Hashtag Jaden Smith.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense, because like if you have your position, right, which you're entitled to, whatever position, well, not all positions. Actually, I'm being nice right now. Don't believe me, I'm not as nice as that in real life. But you got right to your position, yada yada. Now, while that is going on, futurism, more like, okay.
I didn't. More like pause.
He doesn't want to play.
This is what futurism gave us. This is the best thing futurism has given us, is this soundboard.
Oh yeah, I remembered. So yeah, you have the right to your like position, whatever the fuck. But if you believe in that position, right, why wouldn't you discuss how it came about? I'm not asking them to fucking glaze the cube of futurists, right?
Yeah.
I'm just asking you to be honest about the fact that Marinetti was writing that bullshit about flesh rotting and being like, great.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking, that you're actually being truthful about who he was. How hard is that, really?
That line where he's like, we don't want to be putting seeds into the earth. We want to be putting like fucking dead bodies or something.
He is psychotic. And why didn't you mention that? Why didn't our university mention that? That's insane. You guys, that's not normal. I'm not even trying to be like, this is some kind of fucking conspiracy. This is more like, bitch, how did you read Walter Benjamin's entire essay, clip it, excerpt, take an excerpt out, make us read that excerpt, and then tell us this essay is actually about the devaluing of art.
Yeah.
It becomes
like,
less
really?
expensive when it's being reproduced. Are you insane or dumb? It's one or the other.
Yeah, see, this is what happens. You start skipping information. You teach us the wrong thing, and now you have students flicking the bean in closets and calling it art. You created that. Anyways, I hope you
It's
enjoyed
all
this
about
podcast.
aesthetics, guys. You don't get it. You don't get it. Art is not about the representation of life. It's not about exploring the horrors of existence in the sense of like trying to actually provide some kind of empathy, some kind of camaraderie to people. No. It's all about the aesthetics. It's about projecting some kind of power. Like Marinetti, bitch, you still were decomposed and eaten by worms, like all of us are gonna be. So what was that all about? About creating all of this horror for people, about supporting war, about talking about how beautiful it is in Ethiopia. Like, fuck you. Fuck you.
Fuck that, man.
Ew. Glorifying war is weird. Weird.
It's diabolical and disgusting.
War, more like
Marinetti, get killed by a yeti. 'Cause you ain't ready for this spaghetti.
literally. You know what? Italy gave us fascism, and also Italy gave us tiramisu and winks. Italy taketh, Italy giveth.
Arrivederci. Wait, that's not Italian. It's not Italian.
I don't know.
Buongiorno. Mario and Luigi.
Luigi. They gave us Luigi.
Yeah, they gave us Luigi. They gave us the modern day Batman. He is modern day Batman. Oh my god. Did no one ever think about this? Luigi Maglione. He is the modern day Bruce Wayne.
Straight up. Anyway, sorry again for being so heavy. Actually, we made some jokes. Well, not a lot.
Sorry, this is
You
just
asked for art, I give you art, bitch.
Yeah, we gotta teach
when we
you...
joke too much, you're like, where's the art? Where's the art? Here it is, bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry for ruining your day or your week or your life. I don't know.
You know what?
Depends on how long it's gonna take you to get.
For. And guess what? Girls like sex too.
Raw. We will never get over it, bitch. We will keep on bringing it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to say.
We gotta teach you what they won't teach you in art school. So.
Yeah, we gotta tell you, because they're not gonna tell you, unfortunately. Why? I don't know, because it's all about just a cyclist on a bike. It's just a little dash hound running and his tail being portrayed in multiple angles. That's all Futurism is about, baby.
Dude,
don't
I remember
worry
thinking...
your pretty little head. Don't worry yourself about it. You're gonna get a wrinkle and you're gonna have to go get Botox at 18. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I remember learning about Futurism and knowing for a fact that something was up because I thought it was so stupid and such a waste of time.
Dude, I didn't clock it because most things in art are a waste of time and stupid and annoying.
No, but like even just like the teachers just being like, it's about speed. It's like, why are we spending time caring about this at all? Like,
I don't know anymore.
But anyways, hope you like this podcast.
Thank you, Lisa, for a lecture.
Thank you, Professor Lisa.
Yes.
Thank you, Professor Lisa. Please give me some pizza, because we're talking about Italian futurism.
I wanted tiramisu so bad. I have
and that's
cherries.
Futurism.
I have those amaretto cherries or whatever the fuck they're called. Fuck it up. That's some good shit. Again, Italy giveth, Italy taketh.
Anyways, if you want to hear my full Futurism freestyle, go to our Patreon. I will be posting 5 bars, 5 seconds on Italian Futurism on the Patreon.
We should do a reenactment of one of the Italian futurists. Actually, no, early futurists, like, they were doing both the same type of shit where they would come out on stage, like, it would be happening, right? So they would like perform their poetry or whatever, and then they would just start fighting. It was a fight club.
That's funny.
We should do a reenactment of that over Zoom.
Bow, 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 bow.
And then stand up on a fucking chair and go, also I think we should add contempt for men. I want an amendment to the Manifesto of 1913. Add contempt for men too.
So stupid.
Add nuclear bombs and how great they are.
Add nuclear bombs.
Anyway, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.